We spend so much of our lives protecting things. We protect our privacy, our inventory, our traditions, and even our sadness. But what if safety is actually the most dangerous thing of all? In this episode of Thinking Out Loud, we travel to a pub in rainy Dublin, a dark stairwell in Beirut, a snowbound station in Japan, and a fragrant kitchen in Berlin. We look at the empty chair at the head of the table, the cargo of oranges sealed in a truck, and the cheese that is about to spoil. We ask the difficult questions. Are we guarding a shrine or a prison? Why are we so afraid of loud smells? And what happens when we finally realize that the only way to save the feast is to give it away? Join me, my friends, as we learn how to break the seal. I'm Danny, and this is a new Thinking Out Loud episode from English Plus Podcast. There is a very specific feeling that comes around late at night, usually when you're looking at a fridge full of leftovers or a living room that is perfectly, obsessively tidy. It's the feeling of stasis, of things being held in suspended animation. We are a culture that loves preservation. We seal things in Tupperware. We put plastic covers on the good furniture. We save the good wine for a special occasion that never seems to come. We hold onto our dignity, our privacy, and our grief as if they are finite resources that will run out if we use them. But I've been thinking this week about rot. I know, not exactly a festive word, but hear me out. I've been thinking about the difference between saving something and wasting it. We tend to think those are opposites. If I save this bottle of wine, I am not wasting it. If I save this seat at the table, I am protecting it. But this week's stories from Dublin, Beirut, Hokkaido, and Berlin all seem to scream the same counterintuitive truth. If you don't use it, you lose it. If you don't share it, it spoils. Now let's start in Dublin. Let's talk about Killian and the pub. We all know a Killian. Maybe you are Killian. He's the guy sitting in the corner of the Stag's Head, nursing a warm stout, hiding from his own house. Why? Because his house has become a museum. That phrase really stuck with me. The house was a museum. When we lose someone, like Killian lost Shaban, our first instinct is to freeze time. We want to keep the cushions exactly where they fluffed them. We want to keep the silence they left behind because that silence feels holy. It feels like a tribute. Killian sets the table for two. He cooks the roast beef, but he can't eat it. The empty chair at the table isn't just a piece of furniture. It's a monument to his loss. Now, logically, we understand this. It's grief. But philosophically, what is Killian actually doing? He is hoarding the absence. He is guarding the void. He believes that if he lets someone else sit in that chair, he is erasing Shaban. But then Matteo walks in. Soaking wet, lost, miserable Matteo. The interaction between them is so awkward at first, and it should be. Killian doesn't want to help. He wants to go back to his misery. But Shaban's voice, that nagging, kind voice in his head, won't let him. So he invites the kid home. And here's the pivotal moment. They sit down, and the chair is filled. And the world doesn't end. Shaban's memory isn't insulted. In fact, the opposite happens. By filling the chair, Killian actually brings Shaban's back into the room. They toast to her. They talk about her kindness. The what if question here is terrifying but necessary. What if we are guarding shrines that nobody visits? What if the empty chair isn't a sign of loyalty, but a sign of waste? Siobhan used to say, an empty chair is a terrible thing to waste. She was right. A chair is a tool. Its function is to hold a person. If it is empty, it's broken. We think we are honoring the dead by starving the living. But maybe the only way to truly honor the dead is to continue their work. If they were feeders, we feed. If they were welcomers, we welcome. And speaking about feeding, let's jump to Beirut. The story of Noor and the candles is a masterclass in what I call crisis logic. The power goes out, the generator fails, well, this is a disaster, right? In a modern city, no power means death. It means the internet is down, the heat is off, and the fridge stops humming. Now, look at Mr. Haddad, the grumpy neighbor. We all have a Mr. Haddad in our building. Well, let's face it. The guy who scowls at kids and hoards his privacy. When the lights go out, Mr. Haddad realizes something profound about his cheese. He has a platter of halloumi and kashkaval. The fridge is warming up. He says, if I don't eat this now, it's waste. I hate waste. But this is the catalyst. This is the moment the logic flips. Now, usually we hoard our best food. We save it for tomorrow. We save it for the guests who are coming next week. We operate on a logic of future scarcity. But in a blackout, there is no future. There's only now. The cheese will rot. The tabbouleh will sour. The illusion that we can save things for later is shattered. So, what happens? The spoiling feast. Because the food is going to go bad, they have to eat it all. And because they can't eat it alone, they have to share it. The disaster forces them to become a community. It makes me wonder about our own lives. When the lights are fully on, what are we hoarding that is slowly rotting? Are we hoarding compliments? Oh, I'll tell her she did a good job at her retirement party. No, tell her now. Are we hoarding the good china? I'll use it when the queen comes to visit. No, use it for pizza on a Tuesday. Are we hoarding our stories? I'll write that book someday. No, my friends, write it now. The lesson of the blackout is that waiting is a form of decay. Noor, the little girl, understands this intuitively. She takes the candles, which were saved for a special occasion, and she burns them. She uses the inventory, and by using it, she turns a dark, scary stairwell into a vertical banquet hall. We are so afraid of running out of things. We are afraid that if we light the candle, we won't have it for later. But what is the point of having a candle if you spend your whole life in the dark? This fear of inventory brings us perfectly to Hokkaido and the story of Kenji. This story is my favorite example of rule breaking. Kenji is a truck driver. His life is governed by the seal. The cargo is sealed. The inventory is counted. He is just a mule. His job is to get the box from point A to point B without touching what's inside. But then the blizzard hits. The road is closed, and he is stuck in a room with hungry, angry, scared people. He has a truck full of sunshine, mandarin oranges sitting right outside. But it's against the rules to touch them. How many of us live our lives behind that seal? We have so much to give. We have talent, we have memory, we have humor, we have compassion. But we tell ourselves, that's not for here. That's not for these strangers. That's for my family. That's for my job. Or the worst of all, that's for later. We seal ourselves up. We treat our humanity like commercial cargo. Kenji takes a pry bar and cracks the crate. That sound, the wood splintering, that is the sound of humanity breaking through bureaucracy. And then he does something simple. He tosses an orange to the angry businessman. The description of the smell in that story, the sharp, sweet, acidic tang of the zest, that is the smell of the seal breaking. When you peel an orange, you can't hide it. The spray goes everywhere. The scent fills the room. It is undeniable. And that's the point. Generosity should be explosive. It should change the atmosphere of the room. Kenji realizes that the cargo was never meant to be saved. It was meant to be eaten. We often think that if we give of ourselves, we will be depleted. We think, if I give my energy to this stranger, I won't have any left for myself. But look what happens in the station. The orange leads to the businessman offering a wet wipe. The tour guide offers hot water. The retirees share stories. The generosity is contagious. Breaking the seal didn't deplete the room. It filled it. So here's the question. Where is your pry bar? What crate are you sitting on right now, freezing in the dark, that is full of sunshine? Why aren't you opening it? Is it because you're afraid of the paperwork? Afraid of the consequences? Afraid of being vulnerable? The businessman in the story offers to pay for the crate. He gives Kenji a safety net. If your company gives you trouble, have them call me. The universe has a funny way of doing that. When you take a risk to be kind, often, not always of course, but often, the universe sends someone to cover the cost. And even if it doesn't, even if Kenji had to pay for those oranges out of his own pocket, looking at those sleeping people, smelling that citrus, wasn't it worth it? And finally, let's go to Berlin, to Fatima and her matlube. This story touches on a different kind of seal, the cultural seal. Fatima is a refugee. She is in a gray city, in a gray building, feeling invisible. She is trying to be quiet. She is trying not to disturb the German order. But she needs home. So she uncorks the spices, cardamom, cinnamon, cumin. Now, anyone who cooks knows that you cannot contain the smell of frying spices. It moves. It goes under the door. It invades the hallway. Now, this is a form of taking up space. It is an olfactory declaration, I am here. And then comes the knock. Frau Weber. We expect a conflict, right? We expect the "your food smells weird" complaint. And at first, it seems like that. Frau Weber asks, why would you let it out? But then the twist. It smells like a story. Fatima and Frau Weber are opposites. One cooks matlube, upside down rice, which is savory, chaotic, and flipped over. The other brings stollen, which is heavy, sweet, dense, and dusted with sugar. But they eat together. The what if here is about our definitions of politeness. We are taught that being a good neighbor means being invisible. Keep your noise down. Keep your smells in. Don't bother anyone. But what if being a good neighbor means being detectable? If Fatima hadn't cooked the loud food, Frau Weber would have eaten her heavy bread alone. If Frau Weber hadn't knocked on the door, Fatima would have eaten her rice in tears. The collision of their cultures, the spice meeting the sugar, created a feast. We are so afraid of our differences. We think, oh, they won't understand my food, or they won't get my traditions. So we hide them. We sanitize ourselves. But the thing that bridges the gap between Fatima and Frau Weber isn't that they are the same. It's that they are both hungry, and they are both lonely. The hunger is the universal language. The spice is just a dialect. So, let's bring this all back to you and me. We have Killian's empty chair. We have Mr. Haddad's melting cheese. We have Kenji's sealed oranges. We have Fatima's spices. They are all telling us the same thing. Don't wait. Don't wait for the grief to end before you set the table. Don't wait for the power to come back before you hold the feast. Don't wait for the destination before you open the cargo. Don't wait for permission before you make the house smell like home. My friends, we live in a world that tells us to optimize, to save, to protect. But the spirit of this season, whether you call it Christmas or just the darkest part of winter, is about spending. Not spending money, spending yourself, spending your attention, spending your patience, spending your love. Because the truth is, we are all perishable goods. We are all walking around with an expiration date. We are all cheese in a blackout. So you might as well be eaten. You might as well be used up. You might as well burn the candle all the way down to the wick. Because when you look back, you won't regret the oranges you gave away. You won't regret the stranger you let in. You won't regret the noise you made. You will only regret the things you saved for a day that never came. So do me a favor this week. Break a seal. Open a door. Cook something loud. And if you have an empty chair at your table, fill it. Well, think about it, my friends. And I'll catch you again next week with 4 more stories and a Thinking Out Loud episode with me, Danny, from your favorite podcast, the English Plus Podcast. And remember, never stop learning and, in this special case, hoping with English Plus Podcast. I'll see you next time.